Beautiful night, isn't it? Hi, I'm Harrison Ford. Actually, I'm not Harrison Ford, and it may be a beautiful night, but you can hardly see anything from down there because artificial light is polluting our night sky. That's why we've created Blinded by the Light, an introduction to light pollution, a film by Amanda Maddox
and Phil Shaw.
There are many different types of light pollution, including light trespass and light nuisance, glare, and sky glow. All of these are created by inefficient and poorly directed artificial light. Here's an example of glare and light trespass. There is not a covering over this light, so it is shining straight out instead of down where it is needed. It is also shining right into these bedroom windows. Here's a street light that is also not directed downwards. Instead, it's shining horizontally into this living room window, and unfortunately, into the bedroom window as well. My, that could certainly ruin the mood, huh, Phil?
It certainly could, Amanda. That's what I call a bad neighbor.
This glare bomb seems to serve no purpose at all. What is it good for? Is it lighting up the dead grass, maybe? I'm not sure. Oh, it's lighting up a dramatic death scene. Well, that's appropriate. Here are some examples of sky glow. It is nighttime, but you can hardly tell because poorly directed artificial light is lighting up the night sky and obscuring our view of this beautiful universe. Of course, light pollution not only presents aesthetic problems, like not being able to see the stars, it also negatively affects animals such as moths, birds, and sea turtles. Of course, it also has negative impacts on humans. Recent psychological research has been exploring the negative effects of different kinds of lights on the human psyche. Here to tell us more about this interesting topic is our great friend Craig Anderson, who's been studying this topic at the University of Denver.
The majority of people operate under the assumption that more light is always a good thing, but recent research suggests that that might actually not be the case. In schools, we have these really great fluorescent lights that are really cheap and energy efficient, but it turns out that those lights can actually exacerbate hyperactivity disorders and agoraphobia, which is a fear of crowds. Also, light disrupts the production of melatonin during the sleep cycle. So if you're sleeping under a light, you won't make the normal levels of melatonin, which can protect against cancer. It modulates your daily rhythms, your circadian rhythms, and it also boosts your immune system. So in light of this research, there's no doubt in my mind that light can actually make you crazy.
You're disgusting in your face and it makes me wanna feel like a chimpanzee. And the whole world is falling inside of it. I'm pulling up the road that Easter egg I lost in the backyard when I was 9. And it felt like I was going insane, but it didn't bother me so much. The whole world was playing like war with a cup and it was good too long. The sun is all falling on the corner and I was just a funny girl here on the center of my life. You're a pagan dog, niggas, I got paid by.
Well, that was weird. So, on to a different topic. How does light pollution affect animals? One of the saddest cases involves sea turtles who confuse parking lot lights with the reflection of the moon on the ocean. This confusion creates impossible challenges for these wee little turtles. Now we're pleased to introduce Dr. Robert Stinsel, Professor of Astronomy and the Director of Observatories at the University of Denver. Dr. Bob has been interested in the negative consequences of artificial light and light pollution for years.
Well, you've heard about light pollution and a lot of things associated with it. Glare, light in your face, trespass, light across properties where it isn't necessarily wanted. And of course, the cumulative effect of all this stuff is it ends up lighting up the sky. And to no earthly purpose, really. We're burning a lot of fossil fuel to create that electricity and then shining it outward into the universe. Not the brightest thing we could be doing, so to speak.
Unfortunately, light pollution is not always on the mend. Sometimes people make the problem even worse. Here's a before picture of a docking bay that has an appropriate amount of light for moving about the bay. Now here is an after picture of the same docking bay. You can see they've added much more light that now floods unnecessarily into the alleyway and also wastes energy. Not to mention there's even less activity going on now than before. Notice they've removed the garbage cans. One way to reduce light pollution and save energy is to retrofit existing lighting fixtures by replacing globe lights with flat guards so that the light shines down where it is needed instead of above 90 degrees and into the night sky where it is unwanted. Here's an example of a retrofitted lighting fixture between two globe-like fixtures. Notice how much more glare the lights on either side are producing compared to the light in the middle. You can even conserve energy in your house by switching your incandescent light bulbs to these compact fluorescent lights, or CFLs. CFLs only cost a few more dollars than incandescent bulbs, but they last 7 times longer and they only require about 13 watts to an incandescent bulb's 60 watts. Incandescent bulbs are not efficient. They waste about 90% of their energy in the form of heat. But if you're worried about the psychological effects of fluorescent lights, you can buy LED lights, which cost much more money, but last 40 times as long as incandescent bulbs and use 60 times less wattage. Now here's Dr. Bob with some final solutions to light pollution.
First of all, put a lid on it, put a hat on it. We don't need that light going upward at all. By directing your light with a simple shade, you'll find you can get by with less wattage, lower wattage, because more energy is ending up on the subject at hand, where you really need that light. Similarly, motion sensors and timers are a big help, because if that light really isn't needed on in the middle of the night or when people are around, why not let it shut off and be triggered by activity as needed later on. So we as astronomers do hope to share that view of the sky with everyone. It's a wonderful universe out there. You should come by and see it sometime.
Was that okay?
Yeah.